Hello and welcome. We're Datoma Motorsport. We're here at Brands Hatch, Oulton Park, Silverstone, Cadwell Park, Snetterton, and we're here for the MG Trophy Championship. What's happening in the world? It's your boys Datoma Motorsport, and we're here bringing you a special video. It's our end of season review. We're going to take you from the start of the season down at Brands Hatch all the way to the end at Snetterton. We've got a few interviews with the team, and we'll even show you our end of season extravaganza down at Bedford Autodrome. We started the season down at Brands Hatch, and before the racing got underway, I caught up with Tom to talk about the changes made to the car to go up to the 170 class. So I'm here with Tom, one of the team's co-founders, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the differences between the 160 class we were in last year and the 170 class that we're now in. So Tom, what are some of the differences?
Well, it's mostly to do with suspension. The 160 is basically a road car with lowering springs and some safety equipment. So once you get to the 170, it's much more you coilovers, you can have a different ECU mapping, your geometry is a lot more open, you can start to set what you want in that regard. And you know, Class C is a good way of getting into the motorsport. It's a really good way for a novice to learn the ropes, but by going to Class B in the 170s, which is the most populated class by far, you start to learn your racecraft a lot more. It's a good challenge for Matt, see how he can get on. Quite pleased with his progress so far, and hopefully it just continues and we all grow as a team as well. So yeah, that's the crux of it really.
Saturday morning started with making final setup changes to the car, changing a few more sponsor stickers and finishing off the previous night's pizzas. Once all that was sorted, Matt got himself psyched up and ready for the first competitive running of the season, qualifying. This was our first opportunity to see what times Matt could do against his rivals on a dry circuit, and he didn't disappoint. For race 1, he managed to qualify a respectable P10 overall and P7 in class with a 1:01.998, out-qualifying a car from the class above. Being Mr. Consistent, Matt's second fastest time was only 0.03 of a second slower than his fastest, giving him the same starting position on the grid for race 2. With Matt suited and booted and last-minute checks on the car complete, it was time for the first race of the weekend. The anticipation was high for the first race, as we could finally see Matt race bumper to bumper with a new set of cars and drivers around him. Starting P10, Matt got off to a good start, gaining one position over the first lap. However, lap 2 saw him get overtaken, putting him back into 10th place. Matt had a seemingly quiet drive, but as the race wore on and other drivers had problems and failures, Matt made his way up to P8. A few post-race penalties saw Matt promoted to 7th overall and 5th in class. Sunday saw the second and final race of the weekend, and after a slow and leisurely start to the day of overlooking the previous day's race start, checking everything was tightened up properly on the car, and having a healthy breakfast of flapjacks, it was time to start the car up and get racing. After a solid start to the race, Matt held position through Paddock Hill Bend to remain 10th, before gaining a place 8 laps later due to another car dropping out. Over the remaining laps, Matt caught up with Sam Meagher in front of him, and what we were about to witness was nothing short of sheer brilliance.
And Meagher in 8th, having an amazing battle with Harvey in 9th, but we've got just over 1.5 minutes left on the clock. So I'm trying to see where our race leader is, because this will be the penultimate lap off the race. But at the minute, we've got Harvey and Miga going toe-to-toe. Harvey's going to have the inside line this time. Matt Harvey, can he make this stick? He's been behind Miga the entire race. Last of the late breakers. Oh, there's a little like there's a bit of a nudge almost. Not quite. It didn't quite touch. But Harvey looked like he got a bit unsteady under braking.
Yeah, completely sideways, but I think they kept it clean. But that was brave round the outside as a defensive move, and he's going to keep it all the way around the outside of Druids. If he can hold on now and get a good exit, he may just be able to lunge it up inside of Graham Hill Bend to keep his position.
Is he going to do it?
Harvey locks up, goes wide.
Great racing by Harvey and Miga here. Harvey now does take the place though.
With 2 laps to go, Matt had pulled off the overtake of the century, going sideways through Paddock Hill Bend, but managing to stay alongside before finally overtaking Sam through Graham Hill Bend. That put Matt up into 8th, before another car dropping out hoisted him up to 7th. So Mr. Consistent strikes again, 7th in both races, but what a way to get there. It's safe to say, Matt and the team were ecstatic.
Mega racing. That was... I knew I was going to have him. I'm going to have him. I'm going to have him.
These fantastic results over the weekend have put Matt 5th overall in the 20-car championship with 28 points, while he also sits 4th in class, a position the team could only have dreamed of before coming into the weekend.
Picture in.
So what a fantastic start to the season, and with 4 race weekends left, we're excited to see where Matt ends up at the end of the year.
Stay there.
Hi, my name's Matt and I'm the driver.
Hello, I'm Dan of Datoma. I am one of the 3 original people in it and the occasional grease monkey.
My name's Tom, and I'm the co-founder and manager of Datoma Motorsport.
So my first car was a mighty 2003 1.2 Seat Ibiza. I had it for just over a year before it met its bitter end with a wall. I still have the shell as well. I broke loads of bits off of it and it's still sat in Dad's yard, so I'll get rid of it one day.
My first car was a little 1 litre or 1100 Peugeot 106 in 3-door independent, which was crap.
My first vehicle was an MG ZR, so same car as we used in the championship racing, but it was a little 1.4 ignition blue, 3-door, loved it, had it 7 years.
My first memory of a car, that's a tricky one. I've kind of grown up in a fairly car-oriented household, and ever since I was little was pretty much the only thing I've ever been able to talk about. I've always had toy cars, I've always watched motorsport, I've always done that, so don't really know of a singular moment really, but yeah, it's sort of in my blood.
First memory that sticks out in my mind was sitting in my dad's pickup listening to AC/DC, Razor's Edge album on cassette.
Well, my memories of cars are breaking down mostly. My dad had a Ford Escort, always overheated. He had a Sierra, which overheated, stayed on the drive, and then started growing plants in the footwell. My mum had an old Suzuki Swift, which was actually quite reliable, but yeah, we had basic cars, standard cars, but they always did the job.
Right, so my current lineup of cars, that's, how long is this video going to be? So I've got a 2005 Nissan 350Z, which is my sort of pride and joy, take that to shows and stuff. I've got a 2003 Mazda RX-8. I've got a spare Mazda RX-8 for parts when the first one breaks. I've got a 2010 Alfa Romeo 159 Sport Wagon. That's my sort of main daily. Currently off the road at the moment, but we'll ignore that. I've got 2004 MG ZS 180 as well, which is great fun. It's nice to have a sort of road going MG as well as the race car.
My current line of cars, it's a few but not mapped a few. So I've got an Alfa Romeo 159 Sport Wagon. That's my daily driver. That's got the 1.75 TBI engine, so it's quite a pokey little thing. Enjoy it, and I think Sarah likes it too, and she won't let me let go of it. Alongside that, I've got an MG ZS 180. That was a bit of a project car. Bought that sight unseen. In fact, Matt went and saw it for me in Exeter. I was not well that day when he said that it was available. So I'm probably not thinking straight when I said, yes, I'll take this car that needs a brand new engine and work doing, but actually it's been a brilliant project, really enjoyed it, spent time with my friends, and it's now on the road, and it's taken a long time to get there properly, but it's on the road and works, and good fun. Even took it on a track day recently. Alongside that one, I have a Honda S2000. This was just a car I loved from a kid. I couldn't. It's just like, wow, it screams. It's two-seater. It's convertible. It looks awesome in my opinion, and I was just always wanted one. So really, really proud to have one in my garage.
I've got a Mark 1 MX-5 that requires some welding, funnily enough. I think that's 1991, 92. I've still got my old daily, which is my Alfa Romeo GT. That's being used as a spare car because my dad's got a GT as well. I've also got another GT that was a spare car for that car.
My current lineup of cars, I only have two. One is a 2015 Nissan Qashqai, which is mine, which is the daily runaround / family runaround, and the other one is my wife's 2-litre Mazda 3 in blue.
And I currently have two other MG ZRs that I'm breaking for bits because they're useful for the race car and just to have in general. Both cars are quite rotten. Yeah, I think that's it for now.
It's Saturday, it's race day, and we're here at Oulton Park for a glorious day. The sun is out, I've got the sunglasses on, and we're excited for the day ahead. We've got qualifying this morning, and later on we've got 2 races, so let's get on to qualifying. With the sun cracking the flags, it didn't take long for Matt to get warmed up in the car and put in some seriously quick lap times. Since Brands Hatch, Class A had seen 3 more entries, meaning in theory Matt should have been around the 13th place mark based off previous qualifying pace. However, he'd obviously had some energising breakfast as he managed to qualify P11 with a 2:03.442, only 4 tenths off the car in front. Not only that, but he managed to out-qualify a driver from the quicker Class A category and was also 1.7 seconds quicker than the car right behind him in 12th, while also managing to be 5th in class. As with all MG Trophy Championship events this year, there are 2 races a weekend, and the grid for the second race is made up of the driver's second fastest lap time. Matt's second fastest lap time was a 2:03.910, placing him 10th on the grid for race 2 and once again 5th in class. A fantastic showing from Matt, huge development from Brands Hatch. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve for the race. Matt got a slow start to race 1 after missing a gear which dropped him down a few places. Despite the poor start, he managed an overtake on the first corner and got a good run on the car in front on the way down to Cascades. In his attempt to overtake, Matt lost the back end of the car and spun out onto the grass. After a bouncy trip through the grass, Matt ended up dead last in 18th. This wasn't the end of his race, however, as Matt started his fight back. With a couple of other cars falling out of the race and a few on-track overtakes, Matt managed to gain 4 places and climb into 13th place, while also finishing 7th in class. Post-race weight checks complete, and Matt was ready to go again in race 2.
Working hard, alright? Promise.
Race 2 was a more quiet affair for Matt. However, some setup changes made between races made the car come alive. A safety car midway through the race took away any rhythm Matt had found. Yet coming on to the final lap, Matt managed to set his fastest lap of the race weekend, breaking into the 2:02s, showing how quick the car had become. A P9 finish overall and P5 in class saw the team pleased with the weekend, with a good haul of points despite the disappointing first race. So let's take a look at the championship standings. Tyler Ballard, Fergus Campbell and Graham Ross head the championship, with Tyler leading the Class B championship and Graham leading the Class A championship. Matt leaves Oulton in a strong 6th place overall and 4th in class, with only a 3-point deficit to the driver in front. Well, we've had a fantastic weekend here at Oulton Park. The first race didn't go exactly as planned, but we learned quite a lot. Second race, we gained a place. We were quicker than we'd ever been throughout the weekend. We've had a fantastic weekend. We've learned a lot. We've come a long way, and the only way is up. We will get to the top eventually. We will, won't we? What a drive from this guy.
It was alright, wasn't it? I was there or thereabouts. That's where we want to be. So,
Happy days.
happy days.
See you at Silverstone.
Stay there.
How do I feel the year went? I don't really think it could have gone a lot better, to be honest. Bearing in mind, we put the car together, so we converted it from a 160 to 170 in a few months, and that was quite a learning curve, trying to work out what bits we needed. Thankfully we had a lot of help from the Coles, who were thankfully breaking a 170 because they were using the shell for something else, so that helped a lot. But just trying to get the car somewhere to a point where we could actually get out and test it was tricky. So I missed all of the track days that were available before the first race at Brands Hatch. So ended up just hiring a local airfield and driving it around this very bumpy airfield. So to be fair, if anything would have fallen off, it would have fallen off then. Yeah, the car survived. We got to Brands Hatch, and I think in the first event I did 2 5th places, which out of a grid of about 12 or something, I don't maybe not quite that many, was remarkable. I thought we'd be sort of trailing around at the back and the car wouldn't be quite where it was, and we just started chipping away at it, and we left Oulton Park with a car that was sort of not too far away from the front guys. We had a safety car in the second race, but I was there or thereabouts with the guys at the front, so that was nice to do. Really, it's nice to be in the rough order. And then we got to Silverstone the first day, got a 4th, which was amazing. It was Tom's birthday as well, and we had one of our main sponsors was there, so it was great to sort of show him what we could do. And he distinctly told me that, well, you can try and go one better now and get a podium. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a podium this year. And the next day, managed to somehow do it. A few issues for other people, but the car was awesome all weekend. And I just seemed to get in a groove at Silverstone. I felt pretty good. There was some really good racing. It was probably the best weekend we had, I think. And then a couple more podiums after that at Cadwell and at Snetterton were just sort of cherry on the cake, really. And to come away with second in the championship overall, largely due to the car being reliable, it couldn't have really been any better, really, could it? So yeah, it's been a pretty great first season in the 170s Class B.
I think this year we exceeded everything that at least I had, expectations I had. I thought we completely outdone ourselves. We done amazing from everything, for all the podium finishes that we got. I couldn't believe it, and come back with a straight car-ish most of the time.
Well, very well. Way beyond any expectations. It was the first time we've ever been in Class B for the Trophy Championship. It's only our second year together as a team, doing it on our own. You know, we saw it as a development year, really. We wanted Matt to develop, we wanted the team to develop. The car was going through development because it was a 160. We'd put a lot of work to make it into the 170 car it is today. And yeah, to come away with, I think it's 3 trophies, 3 third places, and 2nd overall in Class B, and 4th overall in the championship is just outstanding, really. Yeah, it was very good, beyond expectation.
My favourite moment of the year, I think my favourite moment was the first podium at Silverstone, to be honest. That was just the way it sort of happened, and the elation from everyone. I had colleagues there, sponsors, and it was just great to sort of see everyone and kind of bring some silverware back from all the hard work. It was yeah, really great race, that one. A really great weekend overall, to be honest. And we had cake as well, that was even better. So yeah, superb.
My favourite moment of the year has got to be getting the first podium at Silverstone. To be able to sit there and watch it and have the wife and the kids there supporting us was unbelievable. The racing was great, and to be able to get the podium capped off an amazing weekend.
Definitely Silverstone. I think that weekend, all in all, was just brilliant. It was red hot. I remember being very hot. But regards to that, you know, Matt managed to put the car in 4th in class in the first race, which was already higher than we were aiming. And we were very pleased with that. It was great showing. And then in the final race, Matt puts it on 3rd and gets our first trophy of the season. Something actually we didn't expect to do this year, was to get a trophy or be on the podiums. So that first podium was an awesome feeling. And selfishly, it was my birthday as well, so I think that just adds it, makes it a little bit better for myself, really. But no, excellent weekend.
Qualifying was a rather short affair, with only 3 flying laps permitted in the session. Matt made the most of those laps, qualifying an impressive P5 in class and 13th overall to set the grid for round 5 of the championship. Round 6 saw the grid set by the driver's 2nd fastest lap times, which saw Matt push up a place into P4 in class and 12th overall, which the team were thrilled with, as it sees Matt push further to the front of the 170 class. Round 5 of the championship was a rather action-packed race all round, but especially for Matt, who was embroiled in a 6-car battle for 11th place. After a good start, he managed to overtake Robin Walker off the line before the fast-starting Fergus Campbell made his way through before the end of the first lap. The battling was intense, as the 6 cars stuck together for the entirety of the race, Matt having to concede position on occasions to prevent no Punterinos off the circuit. On lap 3, Matt managed to make his way to the front of the pack, overtaking his fellow iTech Racing liveried rival, James Blake. From then on, Matt never looked back, apart from to watch the intense battling going on behind him, as he raced over the line to record an 11th place finish and P4 in class. A rather smiley Matt emerged from the car at the end of the race, along with the team, ecstatic with the result he'd just achieved. To celebrate, we all had some cake, No, seriously, it was Tom's birthday, so he bought him a Cecil the Caterpillar cake and tucked in, before heading back to Tom's for a barbecue and more cake. A lovely homemade cheesecake, to be precise, the best any of us had ever tasted. Something flew off. It's Saturday, it's race 2 here at Silverstone, and we're excited for another great day of racing, so let's get into it. Sunday saw the final race of the weekend, and anticipation was high with Matt starting P12 on grid. Matt held position off the line and stayed rooted to that spot until lap 6, when a car dropping out pushed him up to P11. Lap 7, however, saw Matt overtake 2 cars, one being the little MG3 of Colin Robertson, before another driver dropping out on the next lap saw Matt climb to P8. On the final corner of the final lap, Colin managed to get past Matt, demoting him down to P9. But nobody cared, as it put Matt on the podium in the 170 class for the very first time. Back to Parc Fermé, and the team were delighted. Joe was so delighted that his top fell off. From being at the back of the pack in the 160 class last year, to this year being on the podium in one of the most competitive classes, it's an absolutely fantastic result for Matt and the team. Next up was the trophy presentation, including tea and biscuits, where Matt picked up his 3rd in class trophy. So looking at the championship, and after 3 race weekends, dropped scores start to come into play. Having missed the first 2 rounds at Brands Hatch, Adam Jackson's impressive run at Oulton Park and Silverstone have shot him up the leaderboard into 2nd place, pushing everyone ahead of him down a place, leaving our star driver in 7th place, but remaining 4th in class. Next up for us, pack our stuff up and go find a pizza. See you at Cadwell Park.
Stay there.
My favourite car has probably got to be, and if anyone's ever played Xbox with me, you know my gamer tag is sort of related to it, but it's the Pagani Zonda. I think it's just a sort of work of art, and after going to the factory a couple of years ago for a tour and look around, you can sort of see that they're really good at what they do, and seeing them up close was brilliant. Yeah.
My favourite car. Favourite car's probably got to be a Cobra, nice 60s Shelby Cobra. Do like them a lot.
My favourite car changes a lot because there are so many epic cars out there, but if I go back to childhood, one that always caught me was the Saleen S7. It's an American supercar, sounds naughty, it's quite low in the way it looks, and it sort of looks quite old now, maybe not as popular as it would be back then, but yeah, I just think that's a cool car. And when I saw it in Bruce Almighty, I lost my
Oh, my favourite food, I'm a huge pizza fan. So yeah, any sort of pizza. Again, the same trip when we went to the Pagani factory. We were in Italy for 2 weeks, and I consumed more than my body weight of pizza, I think. So yeah, I'd definitely say pizza.
Probably pizza, because it's just something that's nice, quick, it's easy, and it's always good. Or my wife's vegan lasagna.
Well, all of Italian. Pizza, pasta, calamari, I don't know, just give me Azizis and I'm very happy. But yeah, I don't know, pizza probably. Although, having said that, I do love a Greg's.
My favourite tool. Can I say Tom? Is that? No, I don't know. There's some weird and wonderful tools you can get nowadays. I mean, a ratchet's always a good one because it always uses a hammer. I did recently buy a tool that gets hoses off of the sort of spigot, and that's brilliant because they're usually sometimes hard to get onto and pull. But it's just you put on, squeeze the handle, and it just pops off. So go for that for now.
My favourite, probably a hammer, because I can just beat the shit out of anything. It will come out if it gets hit with a hammer enough.
At the moment, I love my battery-powered angle grinder for restoring the little Honda PC50 that's been a lifesaver. If I'm out at the racetrack, it's possibly my little air compressor. It's so useful. It just go around the car, no cables to faff around with. It's just, yeah, it's really good.
What got me into racing? Again, my dad used to, well, he still does, watch Formula 1 and the British touring cars religiously. So I think my earliest memory is getting up at sort of 5, 6 in the morning, and my dad was already up watching the Japanese Grand Prix in like 2000 or something like that. And yeah, ever since then we've pretty much always watched Formula 1 touring cars together. We try and go to a touring car event each year if we can. So yeah, again, it's great to have been watching it and now to be actually doing it. It's superb.
Probably just sitting down back in the mid-90s watching it with my dad and just watching like old touring cars and Formula 1 and MotoGP, just sitting down and just thinking, my god, that's brilliant.
Probably when I used to go round to my grandparents quite a lot, we'd always watch Formula 1. My granddad and my nan were both quite into Formula 1, and it was always on the weekends. I remember sitting there with my granddad specifically, watching David Coulthard and Mick Hakkinen with those West Livery McLarens, fighting it out with Schumacher and Barrichello and Ferraris, and just, yeah, I think by watching those I then started to learn other motorsports were available. You know, I eventually started watching touring cars more and more with my grandparents again. And then it helps when you're one of your best mates, David, he's just an absolute motorsport nutter. He knows all the stats, he's into it all, so I go to school and we just start talking about it, and that's probably all we talked about all week, bored everyone else. But yeah, I think that's where it comes from.
So my favourite racing driver, and I probably can't quite see, he's that man there, Jenson Button. Watching him start out in Formula 1 and sort of go up through the ranks, being a Southwest boy as well does help, but yeah, Jenson's always been great. It was a shame I never actually got to see him race in Formula 1, but maybe you get to see him somewhere else someday.
Favourite racing driver has got to be Schumacher. For the era that I grew up in, it's got to be Michael Schumacher, any day.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'm not really into racing drivers, I'm more one for the teams. Yeah, I've always been a big McLaren fan, and again it comes back to that West liveried McLaren. I've even got a T-tail with that on. That's kind of why I follow a team more than a driver, because the drivers move around so much. But I've always had a large appreciation for Mick Hakkinen, for example. Very, very good driver, who's always at the top. I always like an underdog, actually. So I remember being one of the only fans of Heikki Kovalainen. I thought he was quite good and he had potential, but yeah, we all know how that went. But yeah, I can't say there's one big one that I'm really into. Probably right now the people I want to do well are the British drivers, just because, you know, it tends to be where you sway to. So George, Russell, Lando Norris, I'd love to see them do very well going forwards. And then in touring cars, actually, Tom Ingram. I think he's just a really sound guy. He comes across really well in all his media interviews and all his everything he does, and then he comes across as a very fair but skilled driver.
With a quick turnaround from testing to get into qualifying, the tyres were nice and warm and ready, but it meant that Matt couldn't go too far over the limit as to not risk the tyres going off. While the field was reduced this weekend compared to the previous round at Silverstone, Matt had a successful qualifying, smashing the times he set in testing by over a second. His 1:45.237 was good enough to put him 7th on the grid for round 7, starting P4 in class. Round 8 was set by the second fastest lap time, to which Matt was a 10th slower than his fastest time, but it put him 6th on the grid and 3rd in class. Considering the breadth of experience from his rivals, the team considered this to be a fantastic showing from Matt, and we're all excited to see where he ends up in the race. Following a delicious lunch break, it was time to fuel up and get ready for round 7 of the championship. Starting 7th on the grid, it was a fairly quiet first half of the race for Matt, not gaining any positions, but not losing any either. The second half of the race saw Matt come alive, chasing down Cal Moore to try and gain P6 off him. Sadly, this wasn't to be done due to the tight and twisty nature of the last sector restricting any attempt for an overtake. That being said, Matt came home just 8 tenths behind Cal to register a 7th place finish and 4th in class. Round 8 was a bit more of an eventful race. Straight off the line, Matt got into a battle with the cars around him, losing position but receiving a nice little bump up the rear from Cal Moore. Matt settles into a nice rhythm, staying fairly close to Fergus Campbell ahead of him, battling hard over the next few laps. On lap 6, Matt pulled off an excellent undercut, sending him back into 6th place. A lap later, an incident for the Class A car of Doug Cole pushed Matt up 1 place further into 5th. The 190 of Doug couldn't be matched by the 170s, and by lap 11, Doug had finally got ahead of Matt for 5th place. But none of that mattered, as once again, Matt came over the line 3rd in class, his 2nd podium of the season. Is that another podium I hear?
It is another podium.
Yes! After a quick assessment of the incident with Cal and a brief check of the rear bumper, it was on to the podium celebrations, with Matt getting to sport this fetching hat for his 3rd place in class. It's time to take a look at the standings, and barring a miracle at Snetterton in a couple of weeks, it looks set that Tyler will keep his position at the top and go on to win the championship. Matt has managed to climb up a position to sit 6th overall and 4th in class, again something the team could only have dreamed of coming into the season fresh to the 170 class. With our hospitality section all set up and ready for the day, we got the car prepared for the 20-minute qualifying session Matt would face for his first competitive laps around Snetterton. It took a while for all the cars to unbunch, but once Matt found his rhythm, he found some serious speed. His fastest lap was set on lap 3, achieving a respectable 2-minute 20.794, which was good enough to put him P10 on the grid for round 9, starting 5th in class. Matt's next 2 fastest laps were only 0.02 of a second apart from each other, with the fastest one being a 2-minute 20.977, putting him up to P9 on the grid for round 10, starting 5th in class again. After qualifying, all was not well with the car, as an intermittent misfire had been discovered, weirdly only occurring when going down the back straight. The team frantically looked into fixes for the engine, including gapping the spark plugs and changing the coil pack, but it was unknown if this would solve the issue until we got into the race. Matt got off to a flyer in round 9 of the championship. With some bad starts, engine explorations and spin-outs around him, he managed to pick up the pieces to be sitting a remarkable P5 after turn 1. Unfortunately, the misfire kicked in and Matt was left behind, falling down to 8th by the end of the first lap. With a few more retirements around him, and excellently holding off James Morton, with a nice sideways moment coming out of the final corner, Matt managed to finish P6 overall, with his 3rd class podium of the year, picking up P3 in class. Behind Matt, our iTech Racing teammate James Blake had a fantastic drag race to the line, holding on to position to finish in 9th. It's time for the final race of the weekend and the final round of the season, in what has been a season full of highs for the whole team. Before getting into the action, we had time to check over the car to see if we could identify and solve the misfire issue. However, we weren't to have any luck. With Matt starting P9, enjoy the full on board of Matt's first lap of the race.
And Tyler Ballard, the new champion, with gold still on his window down.
Some intense battling ensued between Matt and Tony Wigley, with some nice last minute braking the only thing separating them. Finally Matt came out on top in the battle, before another close battle holding off James Morton rounded off another fantastic race. The unfortunate demise of a rival ahead meant that from holding 10th for the majority of the race, Matt finished back where he started in 9th, while finishing 5th in class. Matt swiftly returned to the paddock, along with the team desperate to see where the 2 decent finishes over the weekend had left him in the championship. So let's take a look. With Tyler Ballard having already won the championship before the weekend had even started, the fight was only ever on for 2nd place, which was very much out of our reach. Starting the weekend in 6th overall and 4th in class, the podium finish and points picked up in the final round jumped Matt up to P4 overall and a fantastic 2nd in class, only finishing behind Tyler the GOAT. All that was left of the weekend was for Matt to go pick up his trophy for 3rd place in round 9 before packing up and heading home. So what a fantastic result to round off our first season in the 170 class. We've had our ups and downs, especially through the twisty turns of Cadwell, but it's been an unreal season. After the long and painful journey that took 4 minutes from Tom's house, we arrived at Bedford Autodrome for our Datoma end of season day out. The plan for the day was simple. After Snetterton, we did have a slight misfire issue, so we needed to investigate the issue and to see if we could resolve it. We definitely weren't there to have as much fun as possible. After queuing for what seemed like hours to sign on to the track day, we were all set and ready to go out on track. Matt took each of us out in the ZR and it blew our minds. For something with not a lot of power, the speed was insane. Despite there being BMWs, Porsches and Lotuses, we were one of the fastest cars out on track. While those typically faster cars strolled away from us on the straights, through the corners nothing could compare, and we had a brand new Lotus pull over for us before it got to the corners because it knew we could outhandle it.
What? He's not quick enough.
The speed that Matt could take through the chicane at Bedford was simply frightening. Not only did we have the mighty ZR, but Tom brought his ZS along, and let me tell you, that thing can shift. I felt somewhat safer in the race car. I don't think we'll let Tom out in the ZR again anytime soon, as a trip through the grass saw half the car missing on his return. Alright, it was only the side skirt that came off. The misfire issue we discovered at Snetterton seemed to simply disappear, as if by magic, and the car ran perfectly all day. We'd had a fantastic day, and it was now time to go off to the pub for a nice pint and a bite to eat.
Stay there.
So plans for next season, which you can probably tell the fact I'm still sat in the car means that we've still got it. The plan is to carry on as we are, stay with the MG trophy and try and go to all the events where we can. Car's currently going under a little bit of a winter refresh at the moment, so we're checking clutch and doing a few bits that we didn't get a chance to do throughout the season. Try and get a bit more weight out of it as well, because we're continuously overweight. But yeah, and we've switched from the MG Car Club to the Classic Sports Car Club now, so that's unlocked a few opportunities to do a few tracks that we haven't done before, so really looking forward to those. We're doing Thruxton, so I actually get a local day, which will be brilliant, and Anglesey, which is nearly as far away as you can get apart from Knock Hill, I think. So yeah, two ends of the spectrum, but no, really looking forward to it, really looking forward to getting stuck back in and yeah, getting back out on track and hopefully trying to do something similar to we did this year. It's going to be hard, no matter what. It's going to be hard, but we've got another year under our belts now, so I think we can do it. I think we can give it a damn good go anyway.
Hopes would be for us to be front runners, battling continuously towards the pointy and running with the some of the quicker Class B cars and be able to put a challenge on for class wins and everything like that, and be a regular mainstay on the podium.
short term, stick with trophy, keep developing the car, keep developing mats. Always bringing people in. So you've seen this year, David's come in with all the film work he's been doing, all the videos, absolutely excellent. He does it all voluntarily. I really appreciate everything he does. So just to keep supporting him, developing his skills, I know he enjoys it quite a lot. So hopefully you'll see that through next year, that development. And then hopefully we'll just keep other people coming in like Joe and Scott and Steve, who all come and work on the cars. They get their enjoyments. They don't do it every weekend, but that's fine. That's not a problem. Long term, I might get myself in the car eventually. I like the idea of doing a 160 class entry, whether that be in trophy or cup or something else, I don't know. And to go along with that, might do a 160 build. So watch this space. And then I think more long term into the future, my absolute top tier aspiration would be to be entering into something like touring cars. To have a team, to build a team, to be in touring cars, or even like the mini series. That would be just dreams come true, I think.
Thank you so much for joining us for this end of season review. Thank you so much for your support throughout the whole season. We're so excited for next year, and we'll see you there. Shut the f*** up.